This is Hush, Virginia. And so I had an idea, and I thought I would introduce you to one of my hobbies. In this case, fantasy baseball. I've been playing fantasy baseball since 2002, I believe. I was in college when I first got into it, and it has been something that I really love quite a bit, and spend money on, which is a bit ridiculous, but you know, it's what I do. Anyway, I thought that what I would do today is show you around a little bit about my team and what fantasy baseball involves, and then I'll probably do a little bit of some work, quote unquote work, on my team. But first, I think the best thing to do is to start at the beginning and explain what fantasy baseball is. So, I'm going to go to my team to do that. So I'll click here on my team. Alright, so the goal in fantasy baseball is to build a team of real baseball players, and with this team you then collect their real stats, as you kind of see over here, and as they play during the year, you compete to have the most or the best stats. In this case, in my league, there are 10 different stats. And I'll show you where that is in the standings, I believe. Yes, this will be good. You compete against other teams, and there are 10 teams in our league. And my team is called the Church of Baseball. I got that name from a quote in the movie Bull Durham, which is a great movie. If you haven't seen it, even if you don't like baseball, it's worth watching. Anyway, so the stats that you collect with your team are home runs, which I am actually in the lead. I have the most home runs collected this year thus far. Our league does on-base percentage, which basically means how often does a person get on base. And it's different than average. If you're a baseball fan, most people talk about their average, and on-base percentage includes things like walks and getting hit by a pitch, and basically any way that you can get on base is included in the on-base percentage. And then runs scored, so how many times a player crosses home plate. I'm not doing so well in that, down here near the bottom, which I'm having trouble understanding since I have the most home runs. That is kind of unusual. Even more unusual is the fact that I'm not doing that great in runs batted in, or RBI. RBI is how many runs are scored when you are up to bat. So other people on your team scoring. In real baseball, I mean. So if one of my players was up to bat and there's a man on first base, and he gets a hit, and that player on first base makes it home. Then the player who is at bat gets an RBI, a run batted in. And then the last offensive category that is scored in fantasy baseball in our league are stolen bases. I'm kind of right in the center this year so far. Stolen bases are obviously when a player gets from one base to another without there being a hit or a walk. They steal the base. There are 5 other stats that are kept by, and they're in the pitching categories. So there are 5 batting categories and 5 pitching categories. The first category in pitching that we'll look at is ERA, which is earned run average. I'm kind of right in the center with a 3.66 right now. Earned run average, you want a lower number. A lower number is better. And essentially what an earned run average scores, or what it kind of tracks, is when the pitcher, an earned run is a run that is, there were no errors made by the defense when the run was scored, or to get a player on base. So if a player got on base and an error was committed to allow that person to get on base, then if that person scores, it would not be an earned run. So basically a run that the pitcher was deemed responsible for giving up. An earned run average is how many earned runs the pitcher would have given up over 9 innings. Again, generally lower is better, and I am kind of average this year. Another category in pitching is strikeouts. That is a nice, easy counting stat. The more, the better. I'm doing fairly well in that category this year. Another category in most fantasy baseball leagues is wins, which is a kind of it seems like it would be easy, but in our league we don't like wins as a category, because often a pitcher is given a win, even if they didn't do that great, or they are not given a win even though they did really well, because their team did not score runs, and they have nothing to do with their team scoring runs. So we use a stat called quality start, which basically is a threshold. A pitcher gets a quality start if they pitch at least 6 innings. They start and pitch at least 6 innings, and they give up no more than 3 earned runs. My team is not that great right now. We're near the bottom here, 73 quality starts. And then next stat for pitching is saves. I basically gave up on saves pretty early in the season, because the pitchers that I had gotten to get saves all lost their job or got hurt. But save is a pitcher at the end of the game, and they come in and they kind of close down the game and they get the win. They close up the win for the team. I'm not a big fan of the save stat because I think it's overrated, but it is a part of fantasy baseball. And then lastly, the last stat is WHIP, W-H-I-P, which is walks and hits per innings pitched. This is another stat where you want it to be low. it tracks how many walks or hits a pitcher gives up in any given inning, on average. And I'm doing pretty good. I like the whip category. I think it is one of the stats that really does a good job of showing how well a pitcher pitches, because if a pitcher is not giving up a lot of walks or hits, then they are doing their job. So I tend to value pitchers that are really good in the whip category, and it shows, because I'm doing really well. Anyway, so you collect the stats throughout the year, and in this league, you get points for being in a particular place. So here's an example. And home runs, I have 227 home runs, which puts me at the top of the league right now. That means I get 10 points because there's 10 teams, so I'm the best of the 10. I get 10 points for that category. You add up all your points for each category and you get your score, which changes as the year goes. My current score right now is 50.5, which puts me right in the middle of the league in 5th place. The best team right now is Hype Machine, has 85 points, and he's really good, actually. This guy's won our league several years now. And the reason he's been able to win several years in a row is we are in a league that is called a dynasty league. And basically what that means is that you'll notice right kind of here, it says salary and contract. In our league, we purchase players for fake money. It's not real money. But we purchase players at a cost during an auction that we have at the beginning of the year. And when we purchase the player, we can then choose to give them contracts. If we give them a contract, then we will own them for that many years. So you can kind of keep players for several years. And if you're really good at identifying the right players to keep, you can build a quote-unquote dynasty. That's why we call it a dynasty league. And Hype Machine has done a really good job at that. I've been trying to do a good job with that, but I thought I was in line to do really well this year, and it's not turned out so well. This team of players you see here is very different than the team that I started the year with. Because another aspect of fantasy baseball is trading. And trading is the best, in my opinion. That's the most fun part of playing fantasy baseball. And I've made a lot of trades this year, especially when I realized that the team that I thought was going to do really well was not performing. So I started to dismantle that team and build a team for the future. Interestingly, the team that I've started building for the future is doing quite well in the present. And I had fallen near the very bottom of the league earlier in the season. After a bunch of trades that I thought were more future focused, I have started to move back up in the standings. So we'll look at a couple of my players here. Right now we're looking at my offense, my bats. We have 2 catchers in this league. My 2 catchers right now are Yasmani Grandal from the Dodgers and Travis d'Arnaud from the Mets. And Travis d'Arnaud has dealt with a lot of injuries, and so he has not played as much as I would have hoped and not really earned very many stats at all. This is actually pretty sad stat line at this point in the season. Yasmani Grandal has done okay. Part of the problem with Yasmani is he does not get on base very often, so he doesn't score very many runs, and he's not very fast. But he does have some power in his bat and has gotten 16 home runs for me this year, so that's good. We got Jose Abreu at first base. I picked up Jose Abreu in a trade. I don't really like him that much. He is not playing nearly as well as he was expected to, but I picked him up in a trade basically to make the contract, the salary cap, the salaries work, because one of the things is you have to stay under a certain amount of money. Basically, you have, in this league, you have $260 that you can spend on players. And it always has to, your team has to always be under that amount. And so when you're making a trade, you're not just looking at how good they are, but also how much do they cost, because you have to make the salary cap work. So Jose Abreu was included in a trade, even though I didn't really want him, but he has his salary helped offset the other guy that I was sending. Let's see. I'm not going to go through all these players. I'll just highlight some of my favorites. Carlos Correa is someone that I like a lot. He is a really young shortstop for the Houston Astros. He was a rookie last year, and he has he's a great combination of both power, home runs, and speed with stolen bases. He's not quite playing at the level that I'd hoped he would this year, but I own him for several more years. As you see, 3 years. These are years here. So I'm hopeful that Carlos will be on my team for years to come and lead me to fantasy glory. Let's see. Miguel Cabrera is another popular player. I got him in a trade again. He's doing well, but he's really expensive. I probably won't be keeping him after this year. Let's see. David Dahl, I like this kid a lot. He's a rookie. He just got called up from the minor leagues just a few weeks ago, actually. And he's going to be a really great player. He hits a lot of home runs. He's got a lot of power in his bat. And he also plays in Colorado. And the nice thing about Colorado is the air is so thin there that players, when they're in Colorado, can hit quite a lot of home runs. The ball travels farther. It actually was such a problem that the Colorado Rockies they keep their baseballs in a humidor before the game to try to cut down on the advantage that hitters have. Let's see, Max Kepler is another rookie this year, plays for Minnesota. He has been on fire. He has 15 home runs already, and that's actually he's only been playing in the major leagues for like maybe 2 months or 3 months now, and so he has just been fantastic, and I'm very excited about him. You'll notice it says Reds here. That means he was not bought in auction, but he was picked up in what we have a reserve draft, which is basically we auction off our starters, and then you'll see we have a big list of reserves here. We pick up reserves in a different kind of draft where we just make picks, and we use that to fill up our bench. Our teams have 40 players on them, although only 25 are ever starting at a given time. Giancarlo Stanton is the man. He is just a home run hitting beast. In most years, he has not quite hit the way that you would hope he would this year so far, but he still has time to turn it around and hit some more. Anyway, let's see if I have any reserves that I want to talk about. Couple rookies that I'm hopeful for. Lewis Brinson's good. Dansby Swanson maybe will be good. We'll see. The rest of these guys are kind of bums, or they're minor leaguers, and I won't see them for a long time. Yeah, I don't really like very many other players there. Let's look at some of my pitchers. Jake Arrieta is a great pitcher. One of the best in the league. Plays for the Chicago Cubs. I just got him in a trade where I sent the only other pitcher that might be better than him, Clayton Kershaw, the other way in the trade, and then Clayton Kershaw got hurt. Well, he was actually already kind of hurt when I traded him, and now he's really hurt, so I probably should feel bad, because the guy who got him is a good friend of mine in the trade, but I don't feel bad, because I got Arrieta back, and Arrieta, he had him at a really nice salary. This is a really cheap salary, so I'll be able to keep him for at least 2 more years at a nice salary, which should be good. Other pitchers I like. Kevin Gossman should be alright. I'm not really excited about these pitchers. They haven't played as well as I had hoped they would, and the one player that I really do like is Lance McCullers for Houston, and he just got hurt. And then Julio Urias is a 19-year-old Mexican pitcher with the Los Angeles Dodgers, and he is going to be a future superstar. I really like owning Julio Urias. He is my meal ticket for the future. So that's my team right now, and I think what we'll do, let me check the time. Okay, we're doing all right. I think what we're going to do is I'm going to try to put together a trade offer. So we're going to go right here and click on trades. All right. Let's see. Let's select a team to trade with. All right. Now, one of the things that you realize in fantasy baseball is everybody plays the game different. Some people love to trade players, and other people don't trade their players at all. So, for instance, this guy, Chin Music, he doesn't trade ever. So it's not even worth trying, because he doesn't want to trade. Whereas Hype Machine, the guy who's in the lead, he loves the trade, but he's hard to trade with because he's good, and he has convinced me to get into a lot of trades that I lost on in the end, and so I have become somewhat wary of trading with him. This guy, See You Later, he and I have traded a lot this year. He's a really good friend of mine, and but we've traded so much that at this point I feel like there's not really anybody else that I want that he has, and he has most of the players that I used to have, so trading with him doesn't seem to make much sense, really. But this guy, Moneyball, let's go to him. Moneyball, he has, you'll see he's highlighted, the ones in green are guys that he's wanting to trade. He is near the bottom of the league, and he is trying to trade off his players um, to think more for the future. I've been trying to figure out a deal with him recently, and he's making it very difficult, to say the least. He has rejected several of my trade offers. So let's see if we can put together something. The guy I really want of his is Dellin Betances. He's a relief pitcher for the New York Yankees. He's really good. And he just got the closing job. He'll be getting saves now because the guys that were getting saves ahead of him and the Yankees just got traded to another team in real life. So let's start with Dellin Betances. We'll click him. And let's see, is there anybody else that I want? Would love to get Alex Bregman, but he doesn't want to trade Alex Bregman. Let's see. Let's see if we can just get Betances in a straight trade. Alright, so who do I trade for Betances? Let's look. Let me check something. We're going to open up another window real quick. I need to go check his player page, or his main page, to see if he has salary cap space. Oh, he has a lot of salary cap space. Okay, that's good to know. That is good to know. Okay, let's go back. Alright, so Dellin Betances. Who do I want to send to him? He probably won't take Giancarlo Stanton because he's going to be too expensive next year. Same with Cabrera. I think he's interested in Jonathan Scope, but he doesn't want to. He already has a bunch of second basemen that are good keepers, so he has balked on Scope in the past with my other offers. We could try Jose Abreu. Let's pull up Jose Abreu's page real quick. Let's see. Right now his salary is at $18.5, 2 years left on the contract. The problem with Abreu is he hasn't really hit as well as he should be. But maybe he's snapping out of it. He did just hit a home run and seems to be getting a little bit, he's starting to get hits again, so maybe he'll go for him. I don't really want to keep Abreu long term, so let's try this offer. So it'll be Abreu for Dellin Betances. I think Betances doesn't have a contract right now. Yep, at res contract, so I could give him a nice low contract next year. Alright, let's submit. And it's up here. There we go. Review. And yeah, that looks good. Now, sometimes in trades we offer picks, like draft picks, either in the reserve draft or the mid-season draft, which we have a mid-season draft where you can drop players and get players that no one had picked up in the beginning of the year. We don't have any way to pick up players during the season other than the mid-season draft. Unlike some leagues, a lot of leagues have a waiver system where like the team that's worst gets first dibs each week or whatever. There's different ways to get players, and you can drop and pick up players all throughout the year. We got rid of that because it's just a lot of work, and a lot of people in our league didn't want to deal with all that work. So, alright, well, let's submit this. We'll submit this. Actually, I might ask for a draft pick back. Abreu is a good bit better. Let's say a second round. Yeah. So COPP receives Jobos. No, we're gonna say receives ball. Second round. No, let's say 2017. Second round reserve pick. And we'll see. We'll go ahead and submit that. Let's see what he thinks about that offer. Submit. There we go. Submitted successfully. We'll have to see if he accepts or not. So, anyway, we'll check one more thing. So let's check tonight's scores. We'll see how my players are doing. Alright. So this is what I look at every night. And what we got going on here. These are the stats that my players are getting. So Grandal's had a good night, 2 for 4, 2 RBI. Like I said, Abreu got a home run tonight. That's good. It's been a while since he's gotten one. Hopefully that'll be enough to convince Mr. Moneyball to accept that trade. Let's see. Miguel Cabrera had a home run. Not surprising. He does that a lot. And my guy David Dahl in Colorado got another home run, which is great. He, like I said, he just got called up 2 weeks ago, and he is doing very well. So hopefully he keeps that up. And it looks like I had 2 pitchers starting tonight, both of which got quality starts, which is excellent. And a bunch of strikeouts too. Nice. 9 strikeouts for Ian Kennedy and 10 for Drew Smiley. Very good. So 19 strikeouts for the night total with only 2 earned runs. I like that a lot. Alright. These are players that are not starting, so I do not get any of these stats. Oh well. Alright. Well, I think we've been going for a while, so I'm gonna go ahead and call it quits here. Let me know if you liked this video. I've never done a soft-spoken video, I don't think, so I wanted to try that out and see what you all thought. And yeah, so hopefully you were bored to tears by my fantasy baseball discussion, and you fell right to sleep. So, alright, well, I'm gonna go ahead and call that there. So, I hope you have a great night, and I'll talk to you soon.